Imaginaries was an idea that came out of a global focus that the Goethe-Institut has on public space. So we ask questions like, what exactly is public space in Johannesburg? Is there any public space? And if there is, who is using it? Who is it for? We engage with those questions over a number of festivals, 3 festivals during the year. So the first one was called Shoe Shop.
The Shoe Shop project really concentrates on movement, on walking, on people moving and things and ideas and pictures moving from one spot to the next.
This is Pretoria Street in Hillbrow, where I used to live here a long time ago, and I don't live here anymore, but it's changed a lot. Hello everyone. And here's the Shoe Shop site installation team, and they're putting up an exhibition by Jodie Bieber. She's a Joburger. And she was in Hillbrow and she found some so-called illegal refugees and from Mozambique. And they were being arrested by the SAPs in part of an operation called Operation Crackdown.
Right.
And they were taken to Lindela, and she went with. And then they were taken to Mozambique.
It's the most amazing experience ever to have your work in public, especially where people, when you watch them, and they're sort of telling their friends like what the journey is. So they are relating to it not as a piece of art, but as a reference to what has happened to them as well.
And my work here is about the immigration. You know, when the people in the village come to the town, the capital, I can say, to look for a life better. I'm very proud and glad to see my work here.
So the idea of Shoe Shop really came with the idea of walking as a central metaphor for what it is to migrate.
When you talk about migration, it's always about the migrant, the person who leaves, and not the person who's staying back. I started to work with Malian photographers, Emmanuel Daou, Fatoumata Diabate, Amadou Sow, and some others, and just asking how they would imagine a picture of the invisible, of the longing for the person that stays abroad. Cara and I decided to work with 3 local photographers living in Johannesburg.
My parents were born in Soweto, and then it's actually my grandparents who are coming from these homelands. So this is my setting right now, the family that still exists in Soweto, and then I assumed these are the routes that they took when they came to Soweto, and then this is where they met.
Musa's work is fragile, and he's talking about Soweto not as a home really, but a constellation of different people coming from somewhere else.
The idea with the space was that it would be the platform sort of to start the conversation from. It was called Shoe Shop. So it created immediately like a space for conversation.
Dung is team leader, artist genius person for today.
Dung is this great way to look at city space.
This is a walk that is not a walk. It's a walk that we're not walking with our feet. It's a walk that we're walking with our senses. It is a sensory movement through space that we are doing. We are letting go of the body, of the architecture that encloses that fearful space. We are becoming space.
He did a fantastic walk going through Johannesburg and really considering what every space means, what the depth of the interaction is, what kind of structures underlie it, what kind of histories unspoken and spoken are within that particular spaces.
Post-apartheid, what happened here? Walking, sleeping, trading, healing, killing, housing. You have everything suddenly that is taking the space. So what we have deducted is if you're looking for a public space in South Africa, The pavement is that public space.
Bra was one of the first people that we were super sure had to be in it, like Dung.
Part of these walks, which focus on the Kwaito narrative of Hillbrow, is another contribution, like writing on Hillbrow, using sound and using walking itself. So we start here, ne? The formation of Kwaito really is slowing down house and adding lyrics in vernacular, informed by hip-hop. So that's essentially what Kwaito is.
We were very much interested in that idea of making an own road, moving in spaces and unconventional spaces and finding a way through, negotiating a road. Crazy idea we came up with to say, like, how cool would it be to like have a brass band walk with all this fury and noise through the city and transverse boundaries and walk through and just be a party.
Today behind you is the Tati Cover Orchestra. It's a 12-piece orchestra put together specifically for the shoe shop launch. What brings them together is the love for Kwaito, particularly classic old-school Kwaito that defined a generation.
The thing about public space is so loaded, it's so heavy, it's so historically it's so difficult. I mean, the idea of who belongs, the idea of space, the idea of land is historically so weighted. Is there a way for us to speak about it without getting stuck in the mud? Is there a way for us to walk differently? To say, yes, we acknowledge all those things. Can we still walk? Can we still walk as we are, as individuals, into the future? All of us, can we walk?
By the way, it's the first Games and Media Art Festival in Johannesburg, I think as well in South Africa.
People are working together and talking and interacting and playing and having fun and enjoying themselves. I mean, the name Amaze has two meanings. I mean, one point is it's like a labyrinth, and I think the location, the Alexander Theatre, fits very nice to this name, because the people are moving and searching and finding and exploring the space.
My name's James Webb. I'm doing a performance this evening called Telepolis. It was inspired by a conversation I had with the late Orson Welles. I contacted Orson Welles through a psychic and interviewed him about certain matters. And one of the pieces of advice he gave me was to try film. So this evening I have created a film with no pictures. The audience will be in the darkness and they will imagine the film visually in their minds. The sound is there to prompt and to design their experience.
First I wanted to put just one party and make a lot of live acts, but then I saw it would be great to have an audiovisual concert. With all these playground things, with all these games and interactivity, you really can reach people and you can give access to people, and you create space of creativity and of collaboration, and this is something what is amazing about. People are interested in this, people are talking about it. I put Sebastian Quack and Antje Moyes together, and they created this street game, Flipside.
So, welcome to Teleportation Headquarters. You guys are all going to be television crews that want to bring out the truth and only but the truth, the real shit from the street, bring it out to your audience. Then capture your first story, ask the reality dealer how that works, and then teleport all the way to Berlin. So Berlin is our designated target for today.
Look at this guy. He's trying to look fat, but he's just crazy. He's having a baby. By the way.
How are they doing?
They're doing very well.
I just found it interesting how when the game started I suddenly felt like everybody in the game was somehow more important than everybody else in the street, and I looked at everybody going into the neighbor goods market and I thought, oh, how like ordinary and boring just to be going to the market when, you know, we involved in this very interesting and important game.
Yeah, for me the intersection of gaming and art is very much about opening up both genres to people who have no experience in either, if that kind of makes sense. My own work, I like to look at how artists use the medium of video games in their fine art practice, and the language of video games that people who are used to engaging with games in a certain way, and how artists can kind of take that and change it into something else, and change that engagement and change the role of that interaction.
And of course, to grow here a community, a critical mass in gaming, game reflection, in media art, and also to combine those things and create something new.
I think the local industry, it perhaps isn't as developed as it could be, but there certainly is the talent in the country. You know, we don't have the big development houses that they do, you know, in Europe and the States, but we have a lot of very talented indie developers, and so I think that the state of the current industry in South Africa is much more indie based, but is definitely has the potential to do great things.
One talk was very interesting, that's Danny Day's talk, because he's talking about the struggle of the game designer here in the country.
Let's stop with the artificial barriers that stop us making things, that stop us trying. Let's just go out there and try and see what happens. Let's stop dreaming horrible dreams and actually make things that are worth aiming for, things that are achievable. And every time you hit one of your dreams, that's great. Go pick another one.
I mean, the game designing field here, it's very, it's a growing community. And Yama's Jump and Run Party is a kind of a mixture of party and interactivity and human interaction. It's meeting people, it's creating a community and creating same interest. Through play, you bring people together.
I always have to think of what is wrong and what is right. Getting up each morning seems to be a fight.
spines refers to transport lines throughout the city, and the use of transport lines ties in very closely with this idea of our own choices, of how we engage with the city.
Spines connected via different public transport routes, performance arts, some of it more dance-based and some of it more music-based.
Greetings, visitor. You're here. It won't always be easy, but then you have to work hard for utopia. Over the next 3 hours, we will show you around our utopian states. You will get a taste of utopian life, meet some of the current inhabitants, observe some of our rituals and customs, all with a view to making a choice.
Thank you for flying with United African Utopias Airlines.
Please stay together as a group and with your tour guides. Keep your minds, ears, eyes open. Avoid any activity or passivity that might contradict the transient nature of your presence in the United African Utopias.
The United African Utopias are a kind of dream, an idea, an ideal. This involved a performance art project that covered the whole city of Johannesburg and took people on a tour through the city of Johannesburg to see or not to see, depending on their level of imagination.
Thanks to our patented iThink and our imagination technology, you'll be transported to Jujustan, where there is no need for Wi-Fi, as you are a Wi-Fi hotspot.
We basically decided we'd send a signal to radios, and people could travel with these radios listening to a broadcast to a tour guide who would be describing the city and talking about things, and you could listen. It was like a really personal radio station.
This is Zumania, country of blissful permanence. To keep the citizenry docile, they built this tower which has a 3rd floor for ice cream production.
Brian, what is your question?
Down Utopia! Down! 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 Down Utopia! Down! 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 Down!
We're now about to move into a land known as the Fatherland, the land of the Holy Union of Two Women.
Goddesses and seed provide us the line that stabilizes. The division can never be blurred.
The whole thing is a game. That's all this was. It was a big game just to create some sort of magic in the city and put images there that you don't normally see there. Miss Utopia and the 3rd runner-up dressed in gold being pulled by a recycler doesn't happen every day.
Went through the Gautrain, brand spanking new Gautrain, clean, very Western, kind of rigid environment. Came out into Alexandra, and we went and sat by the river, basically, and had a kind of installation there, which involved myself, Hans, João, and Tanya. And then it culminated in people coming back to Johannesburg, or rather to an unknown location as far as they were concerned.
Henrika, Sarah, Marla, perhaps the 3 of you could make some time to discuss your questions together. The United African Utopias thank you all. Goodbye.
I think our role is to